Hey guys, before we start the video, I just want to talk about this new series just a little bit and then jump right into it. So, back in my old website, we used to chat with voice actors, have a couple drinks, have some fun, just randomly chat, and I enjoyed it. I want to do a lot more, but things never worked out the way I wanted them to. So, now that they have the opportunity to, well, guess what? I'm doing things my way. Our new series is going to chat with different collectors, creators, content creators. Just I have so many different ideas in mind that it's going to be very fun to see where I can go with this. Hopefully, with your guys' support, I'll be able to get some really cool guests down the line. But I already have a few in store. So for my first guest, he is the founder and CEO of the Loyal Subjects. They do some really cool minifigures. You've probably seen them if you've probably seen them at Target, Walmart, GameStop. They've done Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They've done Mega Man. They've done He-Man. They've done just some really cool lines. Uh, yeah. So hopefully you guys like this. If you do like this type of content, like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like. So hopefully this series can grow. So, you know what? Let's just jump straight into it, and thank you guys for watching.
Can you see me at all? Or
Yeah, I can see it.
okay, so now if you can see me, I'll just show up the little figure again.
Nice, man. Zero.
Oh yeah, my favorite. Okay,
Very
cool. Go ahead.
cool.
Start from here. So here's I'm gonna start with my intro, and then I'll go ahead and introduce you from this point. Hey guys, so this is Nuke the Fridge Gaming's newest, video podcast series, and this way we talk to different collectors. And for our first episode, we actually have a great guest. Mind introducing yourself and what you do?
My name's Jonathan Cathey, and I'm the owner founder of a collectibles company based in Los Angeles called The Loyal Subjects, and I do all sorts of things, including taking trash out, eating snacks, petting dogs, saying hi to strangers, driving to and from work, drinking water, and a lot of different things in between.
Make sure to stay hydrated. So that's an awesome guest. So actually, I've got to ask. So having started this company, obviously you do a lot of collectible toys and everything. I'll just show off one of my favorites that I have from you guys, the Mega Man line. You've done
Yeah.
quite a few lines. That means you have to be yourself a huge fan, collector for all these different lines you've done so far.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to invest a year of your life into making something, you gotta really like it, right?
Yeah,
So, I
you
mean,
got some great lines.
thank you. I mean, ultimately, we're creators, storytellers, artists. I mean, that's really our wheelhouse. So it's we obviously have a certain spin on pop culture that's uniquely ours or our touch, but it's we're borrowing these great sort of canons of story and character development, character design from games or TV shows or movies or just sort of like Herculean pop culture ideas. So it's fun. It's fun to be able to get in that sandbox and sort of put our spin on it.
So how did this all start for you?
Toy industry or just the Loyal Subjects?
Everything. What led to the creation of the Loyal Subjects, starting from, what you liked, what you did, into what you have now?
Well, I was a musician. Ultimately, I sometimes kind of view myself as a musician first, and except I have an audience of one, and it's basically my dog. Maybe sometimes I'm lucky my girlfriend will listen, but that's about it. But I came to LA. I'm from Laguna Beach. I was a sort of like a surfer skater, punker, and I played in bands. I came to LA, went to college, played in a lot of bands, made records, did some tours, all that kind of stuff. And then I think somewhere along the line, I figured that as a drummer, I probably couldn't make too much money. As being a professional musician coming back from a tour, I had like negative $100 in the bank account. So I was like, maybe I need a profession that pays me. But it's funny with musicians. Musicians are sort of like pop culture junkies, a lot of musicians are big like comic book guys, or toy guys. So it's if you're on tour, a lot of guys don't have a lot of money, but they have a lot of time on their hands in between gigs. So they go to like local shops and pick up trinkets, and maybe it was like, oh my god, I saw a stormtrooper I had when I was a kid. I need to get that. So
Stop off at a
musicians,
Toys R Us on the way or something like that back in the day.
or just like a thrift shop, or like a little mom and pop place, or a comic book shop, or a record store, anything that was like can kind of fill a day before basically if you're on tour, you wait around a lot until you play.
Mm-hmm.
you got an hour if you're lucky, and then it's done, and then it's on to the next spot. So you fill your day with a lot of different kind of things. Different band guys do different things. It could be reading, it could be drawing, it could be painting, it could be writing tunes, or just amassing a collection of weird stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of a little bit of all of it. Amass a collection of weird stuff, write, draw, paint, and then write tunes. So when I kind of made a switch, I had an idea. I actually came from the creation part first, and I had an idea for a toy line, or actually like a cartoon. And I sort of drafted it out with a friend, and it came to it just sort of I presented to a few people the idea, and they're like, "That's pretty good. You should maybe try to do it." And so I ended up doing it, and then we sold property to MTV and made a bunch of these figures and sold to like hot Hot Topic, Urban Outfitters, places like that. And then I was in the toy industry, but really my strengths are character development, character design, product design, and sort of IP creation.
That's cool. Going back into your drumming days, what kind of music did you prefer playing or listening to?
Oh God, I listen to so much. I mean, Art Blakey, the Miles Davis, it's in the Beach Boys, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Van Halen, Minor Threat, Black Flag, Bad Brains. I mean, I have a pretty wide net. I mean, we're even down to Mozart and Beethoven. I'm a big music fan. So, right now I'm kind of on, the 50s, 60s kick. Definitely, some of the early roots rock stuff, some of the doo-wop stuff, some soul singers, and then a lot of the good, like, sort of, coming from the 60s songwriters, singer-songwriters. And that's kind of what I've been listening to lately. When I was younger, it was all, the older I get, it's
That taste changes.
Yeah, it seems to be, more Chet Baker and Miles Davis than, just, bang your head on a table music.
Did you ever imagine yourself going, like you look back and you go, I was a musician and now I'm making toys for popular IPs and franchises. Could you ever imagine that back then?
Probably not. It's just like anything in life. I've never actually stopped to imagine any of it. I just kind of go, So, yeah, I've never had like a really moment of, unless like maybe some friends or family, they'll say, it's kind of weird. It's like you're a Santa Claus element in a little way. I'm more the elf than the Santa Claus, right? Making toys, but sometimes there are moments like when we started doing Hot Wheels, that was like, wait a second, we're doing Hot Wheels. Like what? There are some blow your mind moments. I felt that when I signed a deal with Hasbro when we were doing Transformers back in the day. There was kind of like, whoa, that's crazy. We're going to make some Transformers. But the fact that we've touched some of all these, his really evergreen, historic, big pop culture sort of behemoths, from Teenage Ninja Turtles to Power Rangers on, it's a trip.
From for your standpoint, I always have to wonder how difficult is it to work with those companies to get those IPs. Like you said, you got to go through Nickelodeon for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You got to go through Hasbro for Transformers. You have to go through Saban for Power Rangers. You just got to go through all a Capcom for Mega Man. You have to go through
Sure.
all these different licenses and everything to bring out those toys. How challenging is that?
Extremely. Yeah. Hey, the stars have to sort of line. Your business has to be in tune with their business. There's obviously economics position too. They want to get paid, obviously. So it's a mixture of, is this company worth their salt? Will they do our property justice? And is there money to be made on their side from, what value are we bringing to the table? Are we doing something different than they do? Are we making it cool? Is it, do they get, can we, hit royalties and MGs and things like that? I mean, it's complicated. But it's a mixture of them buying into what you do artistically and style, what position you're in the market. Does the market need something like that? And at the end of the day, can you afford it too? So it's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, like you said, it's a lot of moving parts, and like this is something I've always wondered, and I've had conversations with people. How long does it take you to go from an initial idea into pitching it into finally getting it into market? Because a lot of people think it's easy, but
No, it's extremely difficult. It's thousands of hours or hundreds of hours, 1,000 hours maybe. I don't know. Hundreds of people. It's a ballet of Herculean proportions. There is no timeline. There really is no set template. We do things that are a little bit like Funko has a lot of speed to market because they're doing IP in singularity. They do one or two, three characters of each IP to start, and
mhm.
there's not a lot of construction to their products, so they're able to get things that are really current out really quick. The Lost Subjects, we do deep dives on characters. Some of our character sets are up to 16, and with all the variations we do, we might have 66 SKUs in one line. And that includes different character cards, different product requirements, packaging, accessories, the whole nine. So we can ideate pretty quick and start design development pretty quick. Obviously, because we're doing larger character sets, the approval process is a little bit longer because there's a lot more to sift through. And then the tooling and production process could be a little longer sometimes because of the complexity of our construction. Sometimes 32 points of construction, up to 16 points of articulation for these small figurines. There's a lot of different accessories they have to work. It's a complicated format that we do. I think that people appreciate it. I think that's why we have folks that follow the Loyal Subjects, because we are kind of that toy disruptor for the older collector.
Mhm.
But it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of very talented people work on it, and from both sides of the pond, from LA to China, and it's magic when everybody gets on board and knocks it out of the park. But I'm talking hundreds of people.
How long do you like? What's the idea schedule for you guys when you announce a product to bring it to market? What's usually the time frame you like to give yourselves to try to bring
Well,
it out at least? I know it never goes that way.
well, it's hard to boil it down like that. I
Mhm.
think it could be easier to boil down for customer or companies like Hasbro and Mattel because they have tentpole lines and they develop them for 18 months and they position them at Walmart and Target for these really sort of firm sets. A company like the Little Subjects is collectibles and it's fast and it's trend related. So what we do, we don't have that sort of positioning and power, and we're not boys toys either, so we don't have that position power in these sort of monolithic shelves at Target and Walmart. We get placed all over the place in those stores, and we might come out with something and show it and show our plans and what we were doing with this license. It all also depends on buyer behavior. It's not necessarily always up to the customers or the fans that follow the little subjects that were like, what happened in this line and this, that, or that. Sometimes things fit in slots with the buyers and maybe at a more convenient timing for them. So it's not always about our timing. It's about, shelf slotting, buyer timing, and some of it's controlled by the licensor too. It's we're also at the mercy of their approval systems. And so that could be, an added delay sometimes. So it's hard to say it's a template. We'd be much more like Funko in that arena. We're just pedal to the metal trying to put out as much cool product as possible, and then sneak it in every corner of every store as that exists. Because primarily industry is built around these very large temples for companies. The big six really, and where Funko's quickly becoming one of those. But we're a good complement to Funko on the other side, and we get placement in places that are a little bit more nimble.
So what is one of your most favorite lines that you've worked on so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say one because they're all your babies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
okay, let me say this a little in a better way then. What's the line that you were most excited to work on when you got that license? I know you probably have a few, but you probably grew up, like for me, when you guys did the Power Ranger, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Because
no, I was really excited about Power Rangers. Power Rangers was, although it was a generation that was younger than me, but I knew the legacy of Power Rangers and sort of the evolution and development. I mean, I grew up in the Star Wars, Transformers, G.I. Joe days. I was born in '74, so I was an '80s kid. Those things were always cool to me. I liked those toys as a kid, so I was pretty pumped on that. Hot Wheels, obviously, my grandfather collected Hot Wheels, and I know the legacy with that brand over 50 years, and it's such an amazing brand. I was pretty freaked out when we kind of closed the deal for Hot Wheels and we started making them. There was just like a swimming pool of history, and it was amazing to be included in that statement. Even though we're very small, we're not even an inch to their mile. We're like a 1/100th of a millimeter to their mile. But it's still cool to be involved in that. I thought Turtles. I was excited about Turtles. To be honest, it's hard to say. It's because they're all I believe everything we work on. WWE is really cool. Predators is really cool. The Xenomorphs. I remember, my best friend, and who was also a singer in my band, being like a big Geiger fan, and having these creepy posters and creepy figures, around his house. And he kind of turned me on to Geiger, and I thought that was pretty cool to be able to work on that property. Yeah, man. I mean, they all have equal heartstrings. None really greater or lesser. They're all pretty like, oh wow, we're doing this.
That's always got to be a fun way to go into work every day, going like, I love working on these.
Yeah, exactly. Game of Thrones is really cool because the sort of the history and the mythology. It's been a TV show for 10 years, and there's a huge fan base, and there's a big mythology. That is the through line of that show, besides the insane human drama soap opera of that show. So it's always fun to take something like that and say, okay, how can we be really true to the property, make it translate to collectors, but keep the spirit and genuity of the IP intact. So we're really storytellers, and that's the fun part of getting in to the sand pit, or the sandbox, and kind of getting our writing hat and designing hats on, and then saying, how can we succinctly tell the story through our figure forms where the customers will understand it and they'll have fun and the kind of insights play.
So now going forward, like what lines would you actually like to work with in the future? Like, are there any titles that or actually not titles, any series you'd personally love to see loyal subjects release?
Yeah, we're in an interesting time because there's so much IP right now.
Hmm.
I mean, Disney's a beast, obviously just cranking out movies left and right, and it's on your site where your focus is video games. I mean, it just seems like every 6 months there's the next biggest thing. Fortnite, was it Apex Legends? It's just like it's turning so fast now.
Hmm.
It's always good to be included in sort of that idea, to be a part of that circus when it's happening. And it's also cool to be part of, like, things that are legacy, like Ghostbusters, and Naruto, and you know that's also a lot of fun, because you're basically a custodian of 30 years of story. I mean, there's 30 years of fanship, so you better do a good job, or you're gonna hear about it.
The fans are gonna riot, right?
Yeah. So you got it for what you're doing and what products you're putting out in the market, and for that price, and you got to do something. You got to do something unique, and I think that's what we do. We do something unique that captures people's imagination. They say that's cool. It's a different spin on a evergreen property, or a now property, or a trending property, and it's fun to play with. That's the goal. I don't know, like, if Star Wars would be cool, just for me personally. I know that there's sort of like an OD on Star Wars right now, but it's it'd be cool. I mean, that would be cool, because I did grow up with Star Wars. The other thing too is just kind of marshaling on with all of our in-house ideas. I mean, like I said, we're storytellers, so we're no short of a million miles of our own concepts and ideas and stories. And I think as we build this brand, we have talented storytellers in the company, and we'll get some of our own stuff, moving.
Cool.
That is an LOL surprise, something cool or cooler for our collector base. I'm sure there's a lot of people who think LOL surprise is cool. Part of me thinks it's kind of cool because it's a baby doll disruptor. They did a unique job. So kudos to a $5 billion business of baby dolls. That's insane.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of cool stuff too.
Okay, cool. And then just from my last question for you. So you have a very interesting story of how you went from being a musician to now, president, CEO, founder of Loyal Subjects. If anybody has like the desire to do something similar, what would you say to them?
Just do it. I mean, I never thought twice about any of it. I think if I stopped and thought logically, I would probably not do it. Because being an entrepreneur is insanity. But it's brought a lot to my life. I've met a lot of great people. Hopefully I'm a welcome distraction and impact on folks' imaginations. Hopefully we bring value to people's lives. I'm more in it for that. If I can, impact, or sort of influence or ignite creativity, that's what turned me on as a kid, is, watching the Ramones, and, artists, like Mike Kelly, and, Ed Ruscha, and, Richard Diebenkorn, and, great writers like Mark Twain and Charles Dickens. I mean, Ray Bradbury. That's what turned me on, and if I'm able to just sprinkle a little bit of welcome distraction and imagination and joy, I'm doing good. So maybe, as for any future entrepreneur, just make a checklist like that. Just do it. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. The more insane it is, probably right. It's right to do it. The more sane it is, it's probably whatever. You live once, I think. So make the
Always
best
great
of it.
advice.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're gonna do something, definitely look at how you can help people. even in the smallest ways. So hopefully we do that, and if we do that, then I think we've accomplished something.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thanks, brother.